There's electricity from those other sources.
Well, once again, the need is, I know that Rick has probably left no stone unturned when it comes to combining purchasing choices and making the best recommendations for the cooperative. And then it seems to be in just the last month I heard this is just how things are kind of going. Just north of Coburg is a cow ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And of course they have lots of waste and stuff. And I can't remember whether it was they were going to start taking that down here or they were going to be doing something with it besides just respreading it or whatever.
Okay. No problem. I do have the option to edit this.
Yeah, I'm assuming you do. That's why when he was leaning forward, I didn't just grab him by the shirt.
So who was that called?
Shirley. She'll come by later.
We've been talking, Judy, about alternative power sources and whether Lane Electric should be looking into those, should be helping with research.
Well, I know that every time there's a meeting, somebody asks a question about wind power. And I know Rick always answers it, but I can never remember what answer he gives.
That it's not reliable.
Yeah, that may be, or
well, that might not be cost competitive.
yeah, it might be not be cost effective. And so I know, and then I think I remember at some meeting somebody asked about natural gas, and that's sort of a conversation the whole state's having right now. But
Especially Klamath County.
yeah, so I personally I don't know, because I think that's the thing. I think that people, the professionals at Lane Electric are in a position to be able to know what's efficient and what isn't and what's cost effective for their members. They're good stewards, and they're not, they're good stewards of our money, they're good stewards of our service, and I trust them to deal with the things that are something I don't totally understand or know about of why good, bad, and different, and listening to why they do things or why they don't do things. That's good with me.
So you trust them.
I trust them.
But do you think there should be?
I think they're always
Would
out
you
there
as a
looking.
member want to spend
That's what
co-op's
I think
money?
Rick leaves no stone
Yeah, I think,
unturned.
yeah, I agree. I think Rick does leave no stone unturned, because I think to continue to be good stewards of our money, but they have to be good stewards of our money and our resources. So if something is maybe cost efficient, but it destroys resources, that may not be the answer. If you can get an answer where it's cost efficient and maintains or improves resources, there's probably an interest in there. What I don't know is what that might be. But I think they look at everything. I do know that people ask every time there's an annual meeting about different alternatives. And it always sounds to me like they've investigated what currently is available. That doesn't mean there isn't going to be something we don't know about in 10 years.
Were you in here when I asked about overall membership being satisfied with just feeling that reasonable and
Well, I think you can find people in both camps, because, you know, there are some people who just aren't gonna like no matter what you try to do or do, but for the most part, when we go to the meetings in the cafeteria at Oak Ridge High School, it's just filling to the brim with people. They seem genuinely satisfied. There may be a couple people in the audience who might not, but I know they're happy with.
Satisfied with anything.
Yeah, I know they're happy. I know there are people who are happy with being able to upfront bills, you know, where you pay them so much money and then they tell you when your account's running out of money, and that gives them an ability to budget how they pay for their utilities. I know people are happy with the technology, because I hear people talk about, you know, and Don's not the only one who looks up his usage on the computer. And so there are all kinds of things like that that I think people are happy with. You know, so if you had a power outage one particular winter and you were out for way longer than you expected to be, and you're mad about that, maybe that'll show up in the meeting the next time, but that's an anomaly. And Rick talks about those too, when there's a power anomaly, when like the whole county's out, or you know, like it was such a bad snowstorm that we've had storms where trees are just going like this, down across the roads, across wires, and I mean, you can't get to the wire that's over there at my house because you have to get to all the wires before you get to my house, you know.
mm-hmm.
So it just.
For the most part, people are satisfied.
Yeah, and I was in Lowell recently, last fall, when all of a sudden there was a little mini power outage, and there was some Lane Electric guys working on the bridge nearby, and they came right over and the power outage was fixed, nothing flat. I mean, the kids were sad because they didn't get to go home from school.
Were you substituting or something?
No, I worked there a day a week or so.
Yeah,
I do some supervisory work down there, so I was there. They thought they were going to get out at lunch and keep going, but they had to go back to class.
Rates. Are people understanding of rates? Do they think they're reasonable?
I think so. I mean, I think Eugene probably has the lowest rates in the area, but once again, when you have a large customer base, it's easier to be that way.
You're saying the Eugene area has lower rates than the rural area?
I believe so.
Okay.
Just because it's a different.
You might check and see, I don't know.
Yeah, I can check on
And
that.
I think that's the issue, you know. We get an electric bill, we pay an electric bill.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any bills that are out of sight unless it's our fault.
Right.
You know, like we did 80 loads of laundry or 20 loads of dishes or something, but
Well, that's why he checks it.
That's
He-
why
that's why he checks it every
to tell
day.
you
You know,
to
tell
tell
me.
you to back
Even if I
off.
didn't know, I could look on there and say, "Oh, that was the dishwasher day," or
Yeah,
"Oh,
you know,
that
so
was a
um,
Use
laundry
paper
day."
plates.
it's not, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, from my standpoint, we use smart bulbs or whatever they're called. We turn off our lights.
Ladies.
We don't run a lot of things. Probably the one thing we run the most is the televisions we have, and you know, I'm satisfied with what I have to pay. I get good service for it. Oh, I'm very sorry. Hello.
Okay.
Hi. Hi, Dale.
Well, we may have hit the end of the road here, Dawn. We've covered outages, we've covered members, we've covered technology, alternative power. I've got a list back up here somewhere, but I think just a second here when I find that. We've talked about the staff. You mentioned Rick and Dave. Oh, the crew and safety. And those are the only things I have left here. But when you have seen the crew out working, or I don't know if you've interacted with the crew, I mean, you've talked about calling the office and customer service there, but in the times that you've had a chance to interact with the crew,
Right. The last time was through no fault of Lane Electrics, but we had a squirrel climb up a power pole here and knocked the transformer out.
We actually saw it
knocked him
happen.
out too,
Oh, yes.
blew him up, huh?
Could have had him for lunch. We actually saw it happen. We saw the squirrel out there
Saw the
and
flash.
had just commented about, oh, I hope he stays away from the transformer. And just seconds later, everything was gone.
They've hired at least one of our kids, McMahon kids, didn't they,
I don't know.
to do line work,
I
or
don't know.
we don't know where that went. I think he might have got training and left for somewhere else.
They've worked very hard in the communities to try to get kids who might be interested in being linemen or electrical workers. They actually come. Dave has actually come out to schools with, you know, boom trucks
He's
and
got his dog and pony show that
Yeah,
he brings
and-
with him for.
and show them what it's like to work for the electric company, and because kids need jobs and not everybody's going to be a doctor, so I think they've worked really hard about showing them how much that working for electric company, whether it be theirs or anybody else's, is a good job. It's a stable place to be and a great service to the community. And Dave's been out here. He's been to Lowell. He's been to Veneta. He's been out all over.
Dave lives in Veneta.
Dave lives in Veneta, yeah. And so he's been out all over showing them what it's like to work for an electric company.
Has he had a response? Do you know if there's any
I know there are kids who have applied for scholarships through them. I served on their scholarship committee last year. We both did, actually.
Yeah.
And because they were inviting members instead of just board members to be on scholarship committee. So we didn't have anybody this year that we knew who applied for a scholarship, but in the past we have. And our son got to go to a camp up in at Lake Tahoe or Donner Pass or somewhere in there, California.
That no longer exists.
They don't do that anymore, but it was a great leadership camp for him.
So we went
2
the
years
first
in a
year,
row.
got to serve as a counselor the second year. So it's just, they've done so many things.
Douglas Electric still sends a couple kids to that camp.
Oh,
Boreal Ridge.
That's it, Boreal Ridge.
Yeah, I've written about the kid for
Yeah.
Ruralite magazine. I've written about
Yeah.
the Douglas Electric kids.
Lane Electric sends a student to Washington D.C. these days instead.
So with the squirrel situation,
Yeah, it's
and
just-
you had interaction with the crew, but they
oh
were.
yeah, and
Oh,
they've always been fine,
And it
whether
was
it's
a
been
Sunday afternoon too.
Oh, is that right?
whether it's been a city thing or a personal thing. Just no complaint whatsoever. My only concern is that they don't get so nerve-wracked that they forget that their safety is number one, not my comfort.